Hello, welcome back to the podcast. Today is going to be on the topic of time. Now, if you're in my spaces, if you're a friend of mine, you know that one of my favorite topics is the illusion of time. And this is something I've been playing with over the past couple of years because I started to see and create evidence in my own awareness of where time wasn't linear and how I wanted to speak about it today because this can be something challenging to wrap your head around. And I want to normalize that because it is challenging for the mind to not think linearly. It's how we think, how life moves on in a linear fashion, past, present, future, when science is now speaking about how everything is happening in the now. Now, I wanted to ground it today to help it actually feel accessible and for it to actually help. It's not just helpful. It's not very helpful to just say time doesn't exist. It's not very helpful to just say time is not linear. It's not very helpful to say, it's all happening in the now, so nothing else matters. No, that's not how the human brain functions. We do have a limited view, and it helps us to have a human experience, to think we have these different seasons in a linear fashion, when really, if you come along with me, we can see that it is all happening in the now and we are moving and in all different timelines and possibilities, and how I like to think of it and how it can actually help you in your life. So I first wanted to speak about the topic of retrocausality, which a lot of physicists are speaking about now and in scientific research, about how they're showing that instead of just the traditional cause and effect, the cause creating the effect, they're now speaking about how the effect create the cause. Now, there was a recent study where scientists they hooked people up to an EEG machine, and we know that this is what records the brain's electrical activity. It's able to see when neurons are wired or activated or when they communicate. So in this experiment, they were shown lots of different images. Now, what they could see was that about 5 to 15 seconds before a distressing photo. So they was showing lots of different sunrise, nice things. And then they would put a distressing photo and it was all random. There was no rhyme or rhythm to it. But what they could see was that before an image was shown, they could see a brain activity spike, meaning that they were predicting that they were about to see a negative image. So what does this mean? And what do we see with retrocausality? Is that something in the future, quote unquote future, is creating an experience in the body, in the gut, through the intuition that it has not happened yet. So maybe you feel that gut instinct about someone that in the future is going to hurt you. Maybe that feeling in your body where you feel uncomfortable and feel like something is off is the future prediction creating the experience now and the intuition. And so this is how I see it. And this is how I think of intuition. It is the future communicating to you. And why is this important? Why can we use this with manifestation? Why can we use this with creating in life? Is because we can see that our intuition right now, your body, your authority, the inklings, the curiosities, it is because the future is speaking to you in the now, because the now is all the now is all that there is. And so if the now is all that there is, those feelings you are having in your body right now is the future communicating to you now. Because there are so many different timelines and nothing is set in stone. So when you get that gut impulse of maybe a warning or maybe an invitation, you get to take action in the now. And that's going to dictate what timeline you go on. And so we really want to be focusing on where do we want to be putting our energy, where we get that positive energy moving us forward. Where are you feeling that pull from your future self? So I get visited by my future self all the time because at the end of the day, the future self is operating in the now, just on a different timeline. So it is creating a sensation in your body. So this is what they say with time doesn't exist. We have lots of different timelines happening in this moment. Everything happens in the now. Everything happens in the now. And so what they're seeing in quantum physics is that, as I said, the effect is coming before the cause. They were able to see how particles almost knew how they were going to be measured later, and they would adjust their behavior. The same would happen. So this means that reality isn't waiting for you. That time doesn't exist in the way that we think it always does. That maybe, just maybe, and I've been playing with this and it has helped me so much in my life. It's given me a sense of even deeper direction and trust, is that your future self, quote unquote, future self, is in you right now. It is who you get to be right now. And they are drawing you forward with your intuition right now. And why is this so important? If you could trust and follow your intuition now, you're going to create and step into the higher timeline that you want to be on. You know, we think of people that we say is like before their time, or they invented something, or they read the market before it became the norm. You know, they were already investing in Bitcoin, or they already invested in that area, or they already created this product that we all would end up being obsessed with. You need to see that right now your intuition is on the money. Right now your intuition knows before we logically can understand, because your current consciousness, your current brain can't conceive of the future consciousness yet. So you can't prove it. All you can do is know it. All you can see is that your future self is guiding you forward. Your future self is quite literally giving you guidance. And that what we could say is the effect, or that what we could say is in a future timeline is drawing you forward in this moment. And science is seeing this, where we can preempt into the future. We can almost time travel. And how can we play with this? How can we get this connection stronger? I love to shop for my past self. So because I don't believe that time is linear, I believe that I actually can visit my past self, which is an inner self within me now. But I remember I had specific moments in my life where I felt like I was visited from a high presence. And I truly believe now it is because I practice visiting my past self now. Me and my current self is currently visiting, or currently creating, a future consciousness, a future awareness that it is all going to be okay, because it did. It turned out to be all okay. I remember there was one incredibly hard night, crying on the bathroom floor. So cliche, but so real. Looking at myself in the eyes, just hysterically crying, thinking my life can't continue like this. I can't keep living like this. And I just remember in that moment looking in and just saying, like, you will get through this. You will get through this. And I remember it was like a higher power, a higher energy saying, you will get through this and you will be okay. You will be more than okay. And you will be grateful for this. And when I first practiced with this experience of visiting my past self, and it's not coming in and saving your past self. It's not coming in and changing anything. You don't need to change anything. It's just having the presence, which is God consciousness, which is divine knowing, into all aspects of your life. And I regularly visit my past self, because in doing that, it creates even more trust and certainty within myself. You don't even have to give yourself guidance. It's just the energy of you are present with a divine being. And this is where you almost become your own guardian angel. And once you give more guidance or more love, more energy to your current self, to your past, the future will come a lot more often. You're building this habit of knowing that you get to transcend all different times. And so you create the neural pathways. And what does this do? It creates even more of a deeper sense of self-belief. So physics is breaking down this idea that things are linear. Your body responds to events prior. And it's when you're in that clear space. So if you get an idea, I want to create that podcast, I want to do that retreat, I want to do this business, I want to move this place. That is because there is a future consciousness saying, like, we can come forward. It is coming from across time, and it's coming when you're in that clear place. This is not when the mind goes into logic and overthinking and doubt. That is because you have opened, you have expanded so powerfully in that moment. And then what happens? Maybe when you have a dip or you come back into the habitual mind, you can end up talking yourself out of it, because, as I said, it's coming from the limited brain that doesn't see all the infinite potentiality. When you are in that clear place, you can intuit what is coming, because, again, it's all happening in the now. And what you're doing is that you are expanding your vessel to receive it. You're expanding your capacity, your nervous system capacity to receive what is wanting to be bridged. I love Neville Goddard that speaks about the bridge of events. When you set the intention and you move forward, there is a bridge of events that happen to align you with that. Everything is in relationship. Everything is working in your favor. So memory is not stored in the brain. It's stored in the body, especially if there's an emotional charge. So I can speak about that night in that bathroom. I can vividly remember it. I'm sure you have some vivid memories with this. It's because there was a very heightened emotional charge. And so it creates a deep memory. And so your gut also is a storage site. It also is connected to the past and also the future. And so studies are suggesting that those memories aren't even just from the past, they can be from the future. It's almost like your intuition has a memory from the future. Now, this might feel so out there. This might feel like, how does this even, I don't understand, you're talking crazy. Just let this sit. Let this sit and see how it unfolds, because it has totally transformed the way I see life. And I see it all the time. I might even get this random song comes into my head that I haven't heard in 10 years. And then I'll go to the grocery store later and the song will be on. It's almost like I tapped into this future experience, because again, it's all fluid with time. So this is where I've almost seen that it's not even just, yes, we do our inner child work or all of these things. No, we can come from an even more empowered place where you come as your current future self and your awareness, and you inspire and you activate. And same with your current self now, see when you doubt, see when you overthink, see when you fear. Your future self is drawing you forward in this exact moment through your intuition, through your curiosities, through that what if this. Know that there are so many infinite potential outcomes and timelines and possibilities. Nothing is fully fixed. So you get to choose to move forward, whether you create more of what you do want, or whether you keep on just repeating the past. You have the choice whether you want to repeat the past or create a new future. We want to be thinking that memory is very, very limited. I've shared about this on the podcast where, I learned this in law school, that eyewitness testimony is the most not credible source of evidence. They actually don't usually include it even into courts, because our way that our memory creates a story or a narrative is basically we just take lots of little snapshots and then we piece it together based on a story of our own bias. And so what we're saying is that people would say, oh, I saw this person rob the bank, but actually they were the person that served their coffee from the morning earlier. And especially if something was traumatic, it really distorts your view. So we get to basically re-inspire the past. We get to be super grateful if something happened in the past. And so you get to re-inspire your perspective of the past. You get to re-inspire your perspective of the current future. You get to re-inspire your perspective of what is possible right now. Because remember, your perspective is everything. Your consciousness, your view of the world is what your reality is. Nothing exists without a witnessing consciousness. How do we know that that plant's there unless people are looking at it? It's the whole idea of, if the tree fell in the forest and no one was around, does it actually make a sound? Because there's no ears around. We're really going to think a little bit outside the box here. So when you can re-inspire the past, when you can have a totally different perspective of the past and also of the current future of what is actually happening, and when we can come with a lens of certainty of all was working out for my favor, I can move through and transcend everything. I am an infinite being. I'm a soul having a human journey and learning a few things along the way. So we never want to carry the story that because something happened in your past, that dictates your future. Because what happens is then the past keeps repeating in your current reality because you've kept this going in the same place. So you get to re-inspire how you see the past. You get to see that this was something that you have transcended. And then that totally shifts the energy that you operate in now. You get to love all parts of yourself now, because the past is not settled fact. It can all be a range of possibilities, and you get to decide how you look at it, but you also get to focus on how you move forward now. And to be honest, it's totally changed the way that I see my life then. It's not helpful to blame people. It's not helpful to blame your parents. It's not helpful to blame a bully. It's not helpful because what does that do? It takes away your power. So you get to re-inspire the past, but you also get to inspire yourself now as you move into the future. So why this matters is because we are moving into the new paradigm and we need people to move us forward that are connected with, beyond AI, we're wanting energetic coherence, people that are in coherence with their womb, with their heart, with their throat. They are sharing from a truthful place because that's the energy we are connecting to. And so when you see that those beautiful sacred centers in your body, your intuitive authority, that is connected to a future, that is connected because that is right now. And you get to choose how you operate or you move into a higher timeline, because let your intuition be your connector of your future self, inspiring you now the same way you just re-inspired the past. Your intuition is connected to the future, not in a mystical way, because your future can influence your present systems. Know this is out there. This is what science and quantum physics is starting to see. Retrocausality. Consciousness is registering information before it's even entered your linear awareness. So this does not mean you have some fixed future with your intuition. It's just inspiring how you act now. This is not about attaching to a future outcome. That is not actually in reality then. That is not actually connected to your life force, your intuition. That's then your brain trying to predict outcomes. Your intuition speaks in the now of saying, do this, don't do this. Where's relevant? Where's not relevant? What am I available for? What am I not available for? It doesn't go down the 10-year path. You might have a vision. The vision might just propel you forward, but your vision couldn't even just be on your current consciousness. This is why I feel like you don't want to get too stuck if you've had a vision or you've had an idea. This is what it's going to look like. This is what this person's going to look like. This is what this house is going to look like. No, it's the feeling. Remember, the vision often is from your current consciousness. And that can be limited when you start to transcend and go into higher future timelines. So think about the feeling. You might have had a vision of a specific person. That doesn't mean that's who you're meant to be with. But how did you feel with them? Did you feel free? Did you feel in love? Did you feel authentic? Did you feel taken care of? Same with a house or the home. Just because you had a specific vision of something, again, it's the feeling, not the actual material attachment. When you're attaching, that is not trust. That is not your intuition. So see that your body is responding before even the event. And how can you start to trust that more? When it feels like a no, know that your future self is basically giving you awareness that don't go down this path or stop to keep feeding this thing. There's so much more for you ahead. So start to release this now. Same with if they're saying there's something here, take the risk, go for it. And then just even if we think on a neuroscience perspective or even just a self-awareness perspective, when you see it like this, you're going to be more willing to take the risk. And I truly believe that if you put your life force in something, if you're fully committed to it, it is inevitable that it will happen. There's nothing you can't do when you allow your divine life force energy to move through you and release the limitations and the illusions and the constrictions and the doubt and the fears. Yes, they come up, but we just see constriction before the expansion and we let it go. So from a quantum perspective, your past is not fixed. Your future is so malleable, but your future is creating also your present. It is communicating. So see that you are, you're a data collector. You're seeing when your intuition comes in, when you're being invited, when you're being, asked to be in initiation of some way. Let the body guide you before the mind understands. Really, truly notice when you feel constriction in your body. And then when you feel expansion, when you feel openness, when you feel relief, when you feel the energy and trust that, move forward with that. And you start to continue to build a stronger connection with your intuition. You start to build greater coherence in your body. You no longer betray what you already know. And your future self will be so grateful. Again, this is not just like a visiting from your future self or a cute little spiritual visualization. This is now becoming quantum physics proven. The future can inform the present. So trust what your gut says, trust what your intuition says, and see that everything is malleable. You can change all timelines just based on how you respond and act in the now. And this is why we always want to respond with our gut, respond as our highest self. This is why we want to pause when we are triggered and when we are challenged, because then you become a conscious co-creator in that moment, rather than just repeating the past of what your habitual mind has always done, and which has created frustration and anger and those lower frequencies that just attract more lower frequency in your life. Tap into your future self and know, quite literally, the science is saying that that informs what happens. And it doesn't mean that you're going to like hear different voices. It doesn't mean that you're going to even get visions. No, it's that sense of alignment in your body. It's a sense of energetic coherence when you're like, this feels true for me, where it almost feels like the path of least resistance or a bodily yes. And this will happen when you're in the energy of the divine, when things feel clear, when you're on your walk, when you're in your meditation, when you're in a grounded place. What is coming through you? This is known as relational intelligence now. You get to create this feedback loop where you get to trust yourself, where you get to back yourself, where you can feel supported. I truly believe every single human needs to feel so supported. For me, my number one support is the divine, but I'll also take my future self. So a way that really helped me ground this, and I'll invite you to do this, is recall somewhere in the past where you had a massive turning point in your life. And you can bring presence to that and visit yourself in that. When you visit the past self, you create that connection over different timelines. And you start to see how you can totally shift a perspective of something. Receiving from the future, you can ask yourself, how can I make this easy? So many people create so much struggle. I was just speaking to a beautiful client and she was wanting help with showing up more online with her business. And she had a great business that she struggles to show up online. And I said, how can you make this easy? How can this be an easeful process rather than something that's really requires a lot of effort? I said to her, in reality, it's a 1-minute reel. I said to her, like, really, you're worried about the hard work of a 1 minute? And we spoke about how just getting dressed in the morning fully, so that if you ever did feel the call to share something, you're in a position where you could, rather than, oh, I need to go put makeup on, I need to go do my hair. No, you don't need to do all of that, but just have yourself that you're dressed in the morning and, your hair's neat, so that you don't create unnecessary resistance when you do want to do something. And so I think it's really important to think of like, well, how can I let it be easy? And a big way to let it be easy is to let it be mission led. Let it be heart based. Get the ego out of it. Get how do I look out of it. Get how do people want to receive me out of it? No, make the mission bigger. Talk about the thing you're so passionate about. That's when you tap into life force. That's when you tap into your future self. Ask yourself, what would my higher self do? Or what would support long-term coherence of what I desire in this lifetime? Not just a short fix, but like long-term. All we're doing is that we're creating a nervous system that can trust where you feel called. When you can see how malleable everything is, you can be the ultimate creator. So time has been something we have invented to make sense of things. Quantum physics says that time is not actually fundamental ingredient of reality. It also says we don't have just one single the timeline. And I spoke about this on a past podcast where imagine if we had access to all the different timelines, all the different possibilities. Every single time you made a decision, you saw the millions of other options. You would never leave home. I would never be able to choose a path. If I saw, okay, if I turn left today on my walk, what's going to happen with the 2,000 possibilities of what can happen based on where I go? Even if none of them are eventful, still seeing the 2 million possibilities is impossible for the brain. So we have to realize that the nature of the brain is that it is inherently limited. I'll put the link below about mastering the mind. But when we realize that the brain is inherently limited, we can start to realize that there is something, an energy or an awareness that's so much greater than us. And that it isn't this indefinite causal order of event A influences event B. No, event B can also influence event A. And it also can create infinite other opportunities, infinite other options, infinite timelines. So how do we work with this? Is that we come from our higher frequency. We come from our intuitive place. We become a conscious creator of what we do want to create. We become fully committed, fully 100% committed to where our life force is asking us right now. What is relevant right now? What is asking to be released right now? Always ask, what is relevant for my highest evolution? Even if it feels uncomfortable, we release, we let go, and we change our energy around things. And we also stay totally unattached to the outcome. Imagine if every single time I posted on social media, I was like, I have to get one client from this. No, there can be people that come into my space that day and then they book in that day and then they buy something that day. Or there can be someone that has been watching things for 3 years, 2 years, 6 months, and then that day they decide. But our mind tries to work out how it all happened and it's because that past event, then that inspired this, then, and we always think so limited. We think, it's just because I did that thing 1 week ago. No, you could have done something 10 years ago that influenced the current reality. Or maybe you did something 10 years into the future and that influenced what happened in your current reality. It is so much more than what our brain can conceive. But the thing that you have the choice in is how you operate in the now, because the now is all that exists. When did the past happen? It happened in the now. When did the future happen? It happened in the now. What happens in the now is all there is. So in every moment, we are writing our story, either by doing or not doing. Either way, you are triggering a sequence of natural law that cascade for father onward. And if you want to bring about a different life experience, it's about acting differently in the now. In every moment, you are either creating, maintaining, or letting something go, destroying. So these actions are determining your future. And what you decide to do in this present moment, your future is trying to guide you forward. It's trying to help you get closer to universal energy, to God, to get the attention of the universal support. So you can even think when something happens in the past and you get a whole different view about something, it's almost like the whole past changed just because you got a different view of it. Or maybe you got a new piece of information. There's that's why that happened. And all of a sudden, that whole past event is totally different to how you first experienced it. Think of that. That's how flimsy our reality is. And the same can happen with what you're moving through right now. If things aren't really flowing, if things haven't happened in a way as quickly as you like, imagine in the future, you will look back on this time and be like, of course that happened. Of course that played out. Oh, actually, right after this is when X, Y, and Z happened and it all fell into place. How can you live with that knowing now? How can you live with that knowing that it's all working out for your highest favor, being in the energy of that certainty? Then you're going to respond in a totally different way. You're going to move in a totally different way. You're going to have way more trust, way more surrender. And then guess what? That creates a better reality anyway. So all of it is just corruption, because you could say that present behavior then changed the future or created the future. Or vice versa, you could say that the future created the present. However you see it, it doesn't matter. But just know how malleable everything is, and you get to choose how you show up. And you get to trust your gut. You get to trust your intuition. You get to operate in a way that, it may feel scary or risky now, but know that your future self is drawing you forward. And know that your future self will be so grateful when you do. So this is where you're connecting to God consciousness. You can think about God as being the narrator. And the narrator is looking at every single different, when we even watch a movie, we're seeing all the different scenes. We're seeing inside everyone's life. We're in that bird's eye perspective. And you can see everything clearer then. You'd be like, I know that they're going to fall in love in a moment. Or do they realize that that person's cheating on them? They should leave them, blah, blah, blah. This is where we can almost operate in our life. And that's God consciousness, where you just come with love. You come with trust. You appreciate everything. You take nothing for granted, and you never attach to specific outcomes. So you start to see that the process of life is the outcome. You see that this right here, right now is it. And you get to really focus on, what is my mission now? Where does life force want to go to now? What feels most relevant now? Because that is what you're here to give your energy to. 100% committed, totally not attached to how it has to look in the future. You are creating your reality in this exact moment. So how do you want to show up? How can you serve? What is needed right now? Remember that success means evolution. Succession means constantly evolving. And you can't be in true relationship with life, with universe, with nature, if you are not in a state of appreciation. Be in the space of gratitude for your past, for the future that's guiding you forward now, and you will be at your highest frequency state. That's why you are the most powerful creator. So be in full appreciation and full certainty. When you layer that lens over everything, over the past, over the future, over your current state, just watch yourself fly. That higher energy, that frequency of gratitude and meaning, seeing the meaning in everything, you then align with your life force. You become in creative dominance, and you then become master manifestor. You want to be in the most powerful relationship that there is, and that with this divine energy itself. So the question is, are you willing to be uncomfortable and step through the fear right now so that you align with that higher self that's pulling you forward? Think of your future self pulling you forward in this exact moment with the inkling, with the curiosities, with the ideas. That is the life force. And that's how you get the attention of a higher consciousness. That's when you shift into higher timelines, when you trust that voice over the voice of doubt, over the voice of fear. You get to mark a turning point in your life right now. So bring this omnipresent, this expansive perspective and awareness over your life. You know, you are such an incredible divine creature that has infinite access to intelligence, infinite access to opportunity. And the only thing that stops us is the blocking of a limited mind and just the past, feeling like you have to repeat the past just because of the habitual behavior of the subconscious mind, the habitual mind. That's just, this is what we've always known. This is what we keep doing. You can quite literally re-inspire your past perspective of your past, but also you get to choose different and move forward right now. Let's be conscious creators, not past repeaters. You've got this, and you can be safe in change. You are needed here, and life is propelling you forward. Your future self is drawing you forward in this moment. And gosh, she loves you, and gosh, she believes in you. Okay, my loves, I'll leave it there. Thank you so much for listening. Let me know if you would like to dive deeper into this topic. I would love to. And we have a future space coming up, which is all about the energetics and embodiments, so you can start creating your powerful impact, business, legacy, and wealth creation. I'm really excited. So I'll put the waitlist below. We're going to be launching it soon. Thank you so much for listening. If you feel called, please rate and review. It means the world for me. Thank you so much. I hope you received exactly what you needed.